Welcome to ISKCON. The live audience in our temple in Krishna Temple, lovely. Please we continue reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1. If you don't hear me, just say I. Haribo. We'll try to fix our problem. We are working on it. So we continue reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, chapter 14. Chapter 14. And as always, we start by reciting Srimad Bhagavatam Mahima Stotra of Sanatana Goswami. Sarva Shastra Dipirusha, Sarva Vedaka Satpara, Sarva Siddhartha Radhanadya, Sarva Lokaka Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems, of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all of the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana, Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu, Kalikanto Adita Aditya, Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali, you are the exact image of Shri Krishna. Paramananda Patnaya, Prema Vakshakshagayate, Sarvanta Sarvasivaya, Shri Krishna Namostume. I bow down to you who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Shri Krishna himself. Madhika Bandha Matsangi, Madguru Matmahadana, Madnishkaraka Madhagya, Madhananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu Sadhadali, Adinicho Chatyayaka, Haramu Chakadachima, Primnakrit Kantayos Pura. O bestower of saintliness, the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Continuing reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 14. Chapter entitled The Disappearance of Lord Krishna. So we're reading translation of Bhagavatam. Sri Sutta Goswami said, Arjuna went to Dwarka and to see Lord Sri Krishna and other friends, and also to learn from the Lord of his next activities. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord descended on earth for the protection of the faithful and annihilation of the impious, especially Sri Arjuna, who were eternal companions of the Lord. And therefore Arjuna went to Dwarka to hear from the Lord of his next program of work. 2. A few months passed, and Arjuna did not return. Maharaj Yudhishthira then began to observe some inauspicious omens, which were fearful in themselves. Purport. Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is ad infinitum, more powerful than the most powerful sun of our experience. Millions and billions of suns are created by him and annihilated by him within his one breathing period. In the material world, the sun is considered to be the source of all productivity and material energy, and only due to the sun can we have the necessities of life. Therefore, during the personal presence of the Lord on the earth, all paraphernalia for our peace and prosperity, especially religion and knowledge, were in full display because of the Lord's presence, just as there is a full flood of light in the presence of the glowing sun. Maharaj Yudhishthira observed some discrepancies in his kingdom, and therefore he became very anxious about Arjuna, who was long absent, and there was also no news about Dwarka's well-being. He suspected the disappearance of Lord Krishna, otherwise there would have been no possibility of fearful omens. Text 3. He saw that the direction of eternal time had changed, and this was very fearful. There were disruptions in the seasonal regularities. The people in general had become very greedy, angry, and deceitful, and he saw that they were adopting foul means of livelihood.
Foul.
Foul. Correct? Foul. Foul means of the fools.
Yes. The Maya. Maya.
Maya, yes. Perfect. When civilization is disconnected from the loving relation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, symptoms like changes of seasonal regulations, foul means of livelihood, greed, anger, and fraudulence become rampant. The change of seasonal regulations refers to one season's atmosphere becoming manifest in another season. For example, the rainy seasons being transferred to autumn, or the fructification of fruits and flowers from one season in another season. A godless man is invariably greedy, angry, and fraudulent. Such a man can earn his livelihood by any means, black or white. During the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira, all the above symptoms were conspicuous by their absence. But Maharaj Yudhishthira was astonished to experience even a slight change in the godly atmosphere of his kingdom, and at once he suspected the disappearance of the Lord. Foul means of livelihood implies deviation from one's occupation and duty. There are prescribed duties for everyone, such as the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, but anyone who deviates from his prescribed duty and declares another's duty to be his own is following a foul and improper duty. A man becomes too greedy for wealth and power when he has no higher objective in life, and when he thinks that his earthly life of a few years is all in all. Ignorance is the cause for all these anomalies in human society, and to remove this ignorance, especially in this age of degradation, the powerful sun is there to distribute light in the shape of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's very nice. I'm just highlighting. I like this. I like this part. Text 4. All ordinary transactions and dealings became polluted with cheating, even between friends. And in familiar affairs, there was always misunderstanding between fathers, mothers, and sons, between well-wishers and between brothers. Even between husband and wife, there was always strain and quarrel. Purport. The conditioned living being is endowed with 4 principles of malpractice, namely errors, insanity, inability, and cheating. These are signs of imperfection, and out of the 4, the propensity to cheat others is most prominent. And this cheating practice is there in the conditioned souls, because the conditioned souls are primarily in the material world imbued with an unnatural desire to lord it over the material world. A living being in his pure state is not conditioned by the laws, because in his pure state he is conscious that the living being is eternally subservient to the Supreme Being, and thus it is always good for him to remain subservient instead of falsely trying to lord it over the property of the Lord. In the conditioned state, the living being is not satisfied even if he actually becomes the Lord of all their ways, which he never becomes, and there he becomes the victim of all kinds of cheating, even with his nearest and most intimate relations. In such an unsatisfactory state of affairs, there is no harmony, even between sons or between husband and wife. But all these contending difficulties can be mitigated by one process, and that is the devotional service of the Lord. The world of hypocrisy can be checked only by counteraction through devotional service to the Lord and nothing else. Maharaj Yudhishthira has observed that disparities conjectured the disappearance of the Lord from the earth. Anyone else conjectured? Speculation. Yes, okay. I had my
Speculation.
dictionary online. Information, the conjecture, noun, speculation, guesswork. Okay. Just So text 5.
How can I have a question? How can these errors can be malpractice, including errors, insanity, inability, and cheating? Okay, cheating, okay, agree. Inability, okay. Errors, malpractice. It can be.
Maybe the sentence is not modern. I mean, here, opposite that there are 4 defects of humans. Errare human. What is it? To err is human.
Yeah.
So, and Vedas explain more in details. There are 4 actually defects, and here there are 4 principles of practice, or 4 defects of means making mistakes, making errors, insanity, inability, and cheating.
Yeah, that is intentional error, probably.
No,
intentional.
Unintentional.
Unintentional.
You don't make mistakes.
Yes. Yeah.
Or intentional. So. Yeah, malpractice is not the word.
Yeah.
Practice wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Text 5. In the course of time, it came to pass that people in general became accustomed to greed, anger, pride, etc. Maharaj Yudhishthira, observing all these omens, spoke to his younger brother. Purport: such a pious king as Maharaj Yudhishthira at once became perturbed when there were such inhuman symptoms as greed, anger, irreligiosity, and hypocrisy rampant in society. It appears from this statement that all these symptoms of degraded society were unknown to the people of the time, and it was astonishing for them to have experienced them with the advent of the Kali Yuga, or the age of quarrel. Text 6. Maharaj Yudhishthira said to his younger brother, Bhimasena, I sent to Arjuna to Dwarka to meet his friends and to learn from the personality of Godhead Krishna of his program of work. 7. Since he departed, 7 months have passed, yet he has not returned. I do not know factually how things are going there. 8. Is he going to quit his earthly pastimes, as Devarshi Narada indicated? Has that time already arrived? As we have discussed many times, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, has many plenary expansions, and each and every one of them, although equally powerful, executes different functions. In Bhagavad Gita, there are different statements by the Lord, and each of these statements is meant for different plenary portions, or portions of the plenary portions. For example, Sri Krishna, the Lord, says in Bhagavad Gita, whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, or the descent of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself, to deliver the faithful, to annihilate the miscreants, and also to re-establish the principles of occupational duty. I appear in every age. If I should cease to work, then all humanity would be misdirected. I would also be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all sentient beings. Whatever action a great man performs, common man will follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So this is all Bhagavad Gita verses. All the statements by the Lord apply to different plenary portions, expansion of Vajna, Aniruddha, and Rama. These are all he himself in different transcendental expansions, and still the Lord Krishna functions in a different sphere of transcendental exchange with grades of devotion. And yet, Lord Krishna, as he is, appears once every 24 hours of Brahma's time, or after a lapse of 8,640,000,000 solar years, in each and every universe. And all his transcendental pastimes are displayed in each and every universe in a routine spool. But in that routine spool, the functions of Lord Krishna, Lord Vasudeva, etc., are complex problems for the layman. There is no difference between the Lord's self and the Lord's transcendental body. The expansions execute different activities. When the Lord, however, appears in his person as Lord Sri Krishna, his other plenary portions also join him by his inconceivable potency called Yogamaya, and thus the Lord Krishna of Vrindavan from the Lord Krishna of Mathura or the Lord Krishna of Dwarka. The Virat Rupa of Lord Krishna is also different from him by inconceivable potency. The Virat Rupa exhibited on the battlefield of Kurukshetra is the material conception of his form. Therefore, it should be understood that when Lord Krishna was apparently killed by the bow and arrow of the hunter, the Lord left his so-called material body in the material world. The Lord is Kaivalya, and for him there is no difference between matter and spirit, because everything is created from him. Therefore, his quitting one sort of body or accepting another body does not mean that he is like the ordinary living being. All such activities are simultaneously one and different by his inconceivable potency. When Maharaj Yudhishthira was lamenting the possibility of his disappearance, it was just in pursuance of a custom of lamenting the disappearance of a great friend. But factually the Lord never quits his transcendental body as is perceived by less intelligent persons. Such less intelligent persons have been condemned by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita, and they are known as the devils. It means he left again his plenary portions in his respective dhammas, transcendental abodes, as he left his Virat Rupa in the material world. Prabhu Gatida, would you like to read for a few verses? Until you...
10 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you like... Okay, then.
Doesn't matter. You can stay there, I can read.
Okay, just take it.
So, this is text 9. From him only, all kings, kingly opulence, lives, progeny, control over our subjects, victory over our enemies, and future accommodations in higher planets have become possible. All this is due to his causeless mercy upon us. Purports by Prabhupada. Material prosperity consists of good wife, good home, sufficient land, good children, aristocratic family relations, victory over competitors, and by pious work, attainment of accommodations in the higher celestial planets for better facilities of material amenities. These facilities are earned not only by one's hard manual labor or by unfair means, but by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Prosperity earned by one's personal endeavor also depends on the mercy of the Lord. Personal labor must be there in addition to the Lord's benedictions. But without the Lord's benedictions, no one is successful simply by personal labor. The modernized man of Kali Yuga believes in personal endeavor and denies the benedictions of the Supreme Lord. Even a great sannyasi of India delivered speeches in Chicago protesting and the benedictions of the Supreme Lord. But as far as Vedic Shastras are concerned, as we find in the pages of Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, the ultimate sanction for all success rests in the hands of the Supreme Lord. Maharaj Yudhishthira admits this truth in his personal success, and it behooves one to follow in the footsteps of the great king and devotee of the Lord to make life a full success. If one could achieve success without the sanction of the Lord, then no medical practitioner would fail to cure a patient. Despite the most advanced treatment of a suffering patient by the most up-to-date medical practitioner, there is death. And even in the most hopeless case, without medical treatment, a patient is cured astonishingly. Therefore, the conclusion is that God's sanction is the immediate cause for all happenings, good or bad. And a successful man should feel grateful to the Lord for all he has achieved. Text number 10. Just see, O man with tiger strength, how many miseries due to celestial influences, earthly reactions, and bodily pains, all very dangerous in themselves, are foreboding danger in the near future by deluding our intelligence. Purport. Material advancement of civilization means advancement of the reactions of the threefold miseries due to celestial influence, earthly reactions, and bodily or mental pains. By the celestial influence of the stars, there are many calamities like excessive heat, cold, rains, or no rain, and the after effects of famine, and epidemic. The aggregate result is agony of the body and the mind. Man-made material science cannot do anything to counteract these threefold miseries. They are all punishments from the superior energy of Maya under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, our constant touch with the Lord by devotional service can give us relief without our being disturbed in the discharge of our human duties. There are Suras, however, who do not believe in the existence of God, make their own plans to counteract all these threefold miseries, and so they meet with failures every time. The Bhagavad Gita 7.14 clearly states that the reaction of material energy is never to be conquered because of the binding effects of the three modes. They can simply be overcome by one who surrenders fully in devotional under the lotus feet of the Lord. Text 11. The left side of my body, my face, arms, and eyes are all quivering again and again. I am having heart palpitations due to fear. All this indicates undesirable happenings. Purport by Prabhupada. Material existence is full of undesirables. Things we do not want are forced upon us by some superior energy, and we do not see that these undesirables are under the grip of the three modes of material nature. When man's eyes, arms, and thighs all quiver constantly, one must know that something is going to happen which is undesirable. Good to know.
Yeah, It's like anxious, person is anxious from
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Prabhupada is brilliant.
Yeah.
These undesirables are compared to fire in the forest.
Yes.
Yeah. No one goes into the forest to set fires, but fires automatically take place in the forest, creating inconceivable calamities for the living beings of the forest. Such a fire cannot be extinguished by any human efforts. The fire can be extinguished only by the mercy of the Lord, who sends clouds to pour water on the forest. Similarly, undesirable happenings in life cannot be checked by any number of plans. Such miseries can be removed only by the mercy of the Lord, who sends his bona fide representatives to enlighten human beings and thus save them from all calamities. Joy.
Could I ask you, bona fide means is undefeatable?
No.
What does it mean? Bona fide.
Bona fide, kind of authorized. What's the another word? Bona fide. Authorized.
Okay.
Or
By Supreme
Okay.
Lord. Final.
Yeah.
authentic.
Authentic.
Authentic, yeah. Yeah, that's the better word.
Yeah.
Authentic. Real.
Yeah.
Not fake.
Yeah.
Free of, this four conditionings which are, presented by the living beings who are actually under control of Maya. The spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master, is free from all these conditions, like material kind of, like it was said here before, like greed,
Yeah.
deceitfulness, and so on and so
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Like Kurma Prabhu on the last Sunday, he was explaining how that was brilliant class. I just felt in love with this class. He said that, one I don't remember, it was his disciple or some journalist or whatever,
Yeah.
who was with Prabhupada in private life for a short time, and also when Prabhupada was speaking in public.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't see the difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Prabhupada was the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Prabhupada is completely pure.
Yeah.
So you see that's what bona fide guru is all about, That bona fide guru is also such a person who puts always Krishna and the instructions of his spiritual master in the center. He never puts himself in the center. So he is free from egoism, force, ego, ahankara, and all.
Yeah.
He's just pure,
Yeah.
And he's of course in the disciplic succession, the bona fide, which is coming from Krishna finally.
Thank you, Vipin.
I know. I like that. He's masters.
It's a very interesting shloka. Wow.
What you meant to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vittila Prabhu. We continue in verse 20. Just one note. I just remember what Bhagavatam was reading. I read the book published by ISKCON. I don't remember the name exactly. There's like a science of foretelling. There's actually one of the Vedic sciences. It's also science of foretelling. So this is what's all here. What Yudhishthira was seeing. It's also science. And one ISKCON devotee wrote a book about it. If you see this and that, what's going on is a good sign or bad sign in your body or outside. Is it the left side? Is it this time of the day? Is it this and that? So that's all bona fide prediction. Yeah. It's a bona fide prediction.
Yeah, sorry, I misconcept about this bona fide Napoleon. I was thinking about bona fide,
What did you mix?
This bona fide Napoleon.
Napoleon.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that one.
Yeah,
How come this one coming in this?
He wasn't so bona fide.
Yes, yes. But for the people.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
he faked.
Yes.
That's what I call it. He wasn't in a
Yes.
succession of kings, authorized kings.
Yeah.
And he was supposedly a ruler. Anyway, I don't know much about him. I
Yeah.
don't want to comment and offend.
Yeah.
So, verse 12. Just see, O Bhima, how the she-jackal cries at the rising sun and vomits fire, and how the dog barks at me fearlessly. So all this description of the signs and omens. Purport. These are some bad omens indicating something undesirable in the near future. 13. O Bhimasena, tiger amongst men, now useful animals like cows are passing me on my left side, and lower animals like the asses are circumambulating me. My horses appear to weep upon seeing me. 14. Just see, this pigeon is like a messenger of death. The shrieks of the owls and their rival crows make my heart tremble. It appears that they want to make a void of the whole universe. 15. Just see how the smoke encircles the sky. It appears that the earth and mountains are throbbing. Just hear the cloudless thunder and see the bolts with blue. 16. The wind blows violently, blasting dust everywhere and creating darkness. Clouds are raining everywhere with bloody disasters. 17. The rays of the sun are declining and the stars appear to be fighting amongst themselves. Confused living entities appear to be ablaze and weeping. 18. Rivers, tributaries, ponds, reservoirs, and the mind are all perturbed. Butter no longer ignites fire. What is this extraordinary time? What is going to happen? 19. The cows do not suck the teats of the cows, nor do the cows give milk. They are standing, crying, tears in their eyes, and the bulls take no pleasure in the pasturing grounds. 20. The deities seem to be crying in the temple, lamenting and perspiring. They seem about to leave. All the cities, villages, towns, gardens, mines, and hermitages are now devoid of beauty and bereft of all happiness. I do not know what sort of calamities are now awaiting us. 21. I think that all these earthly disturbances indicate some greater loss to the good fortune of the world. The world was fortunate to have been marked with the footprints of the lotus feet of the Lord. These signs indicate that this will no longer be. 20. O Brahmana Shonaka, while Maharaj Yudhishthira, observing the inauspicious signs on the earth at that time, was thus thinking to himself, Arjuna came back from the city of the Yadus, Dwarka. 23. When he bowed at his feet, the king saw that his dejection was unprecedented. His head was down, and tears glided from his lotus eyes. 24. Seeing Arjuna pale due to heartfelt anxieties, the king, remembering the indications of the sage Narada, questioned him in the midst of friends. 25. Maharaj Yudhishthira said, My dear brother, please tell me whether our friends and relatives such as Madhu, Bhoja, Dashara, Arha, Satvata, Andaka, and the members of the other family are all passing their days in happiness. 26. Is my respectable grandfather Shurasena in a happy mood? And are my maternal uncle Vasudeva and his younger brothers all doing well? 27. His 7 wives, headed by Devaki, are all sisters. Are they and their sons and daughters-in-law all happy? 28, 29. Are Ugrasena, whose son was the mischievous Kamsa, and his younger brother still living? Are Hridika and his son Kritavarma happy? Are Akrura, Jayanta, Gana, Sarana, and Shatrajit all happy? How is Balaram, the personality of Godhead and the protector of devotees? Purport. Hastinapura, the capital of the Pandavas, was situated somewhere near present New Delhi, and the kingdom of Ugrasena was situated in Mathura. While returning to Delhi from Dwarka, Arjuna must have visited the city of Mathura, and therefore the inquiry about the king of Mathura is valid. Amongst various names of the relatives, name of Rama or Balaram, eldest brother of Lord Krishna, is added to the words the personality of Godhead, because Lord Balaram is the immediate expansion of Vishnu Tattva as Prakasha Vigraha of Lord Krishna. The Supreme Lord, although one without a second, expands himself as many other living beings. The Vishnu Tattva living beings are expansions of the Supreme Lord, and all of them are qualitatively and quantitatively equal with the Lord. But expansions of the Jiva Shakti, the category of the ordinary living beings, are not at all equal with the Lord. One who considers the Jiva Shakti and the Vishnu Tattva to be on an equal level is considered a condemned soul of the world. Sri Rama or Balarama is the protector of the devotees of the Lord. Baladev acts as the spiritual master of all devotees, and by his causeless mercy the fallen souls are delivered. Sri Baladeva appears as Sri Nityananda Prabhu during the advent of Lord Chaitanya, and the great Lord Nityananda Prabhu exhibited his causeless mercy by delivering a pair of extremely fallen souls, namely Jagai and Madhu. Therefore it is particularly mentioned herein that Balaram is the protector of the devotees of the Lord. By his divine grace, only one can approach the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, and thus Sri Balaram is the mercy incarnation of the Lord, manifested as the spiritual master, the savior of the pure devotees. Text 10. How is Pradyumna, the great general of the Vrishni family? Is he happy? And is Aniruddha, the plenary expansion of the personality of Godhead, faring well? Very good. Pradyumna and Aniruddha are also expansions of the personality of Godhead, and thus they are also Vishnu Tattva. At Dwarka, Lord Vasudeva is engaged in his transcendental pastimes, along with his plenary expansions, namely Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha, and therefore each and every one of them can be addressed as the personality of Godhead, as it is mentioned in connection with the name Aniruddha.
Sorry.
Yes.
Is Balarama is the friend or the brother of Sri Krishna? Is a friend or brother? Brother, okay.
Friend also. The elder brother.
Elder brother.
He came a week before.
Okay.
Yeah? We saw it. Balaram's appearance, so one week before Janmashtami came first. This is his first expansion. And it's mentioned here as the spiritual master.
Yeah.
That's what he represents. The original Adi Guru.
Yeah.
He's the first.
Thank you.
And more will be said on
Thank you.
Balaram.
Thank you.
31. Are all the chieftain sons of Lord Krishna, such as Sushena, Charadeshna, Samba, the son of Jambavati, and Rishabha, along with their sons, all doing well? Purport. As already mentioned, Lord Krishna married 16,108 wives, and each of them had 10 sons. Therefore, 16,108 times 10, 161,080 sons. They all grew up, and each of them had as many sons as their father, and the whole aggregate was something near 1,610,800 family members of the Lord. The Lord is the Father of all living beings, who are countless in number. Therefore, only a few of them are called to associate with the Lord in his transcendental pastimes, as the Lord of Dwarka on this earth. It is not astonishing that the Lord maintained a visible family consisting of so many members. It is better to refrain from comparing the Lord's position to ours, and it becomes a simple truth as soon as we understand at least a partial calculation of the Lord's transcendental position. King Yudhishthira, while inquiring about the Lord's sons and grandsons at Dwarka, mentioned only the chieftains amongst them, for it was impossible for him to remember all the names of the Lord's family members. 20. 32, 33. Or as my guru would say, Devi Dhamma. Also, Shrutadeva, Uddhava and others, Nanda, Sunanda and other leaders of liberated souls, who are constant companions of the Lord, are protected by Lord Balaram and Krishna. Are they all doing well in their respective functions? Do they, who are all eternally bound in friendship with us, remember our welfare? Purport. The constant companions of Lord Krishna, such as Uddhava, are all liberated souls, and they descended along with Lord Krishna to this material world to fulfill the mission of the Lord. Pandavas are also liberated souls who descended along with Lord Krishna to serve him in his transcendental pastimes on this earth. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 4.8, the Lord and his eternal associates, who are also liberated souls like the Lord, come down on this earth at certain intervals. The Lord remembers them all, but his associates, although liberated souls, forget due to their being Tatashta Shakti, or marginal potency of the Lord. That is the difference between the Vishnu Tattva and Jiva Tattva. The Jiva Tattvas are infinitesimal potency particles of the Lord, and therefore they require the protection of the Lord at all times. And to the eternal servitors of the Lord is pleased to give all protection at all times. The liberated souls never, therefore, think themselves as free as the Lord or as powerful as the Lord, but they always seek the protection of the Lord in all circumstances, both in the material world and in the spiritual world. This dependence of the liberated soul is constitutional, for the liberated souls are like sparks, not a fire, that are able to exhibit the glow of fire along with the fire and not independently. Independently, the glow of the sparks is extinguished, although the quality of fire or the glowing is there. Thus those who give up the protection of the Lord and become so-called lords themselves, out of spiritual ignorance, come back again to this material world, even after prolonged tapasya of the severest type. That is the verdict of all Vedic literature. 34. Is Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who gives pleasure to the cows, the senses, and the brahmanas, who is very affectionate towards his devotees, enjoying the pious assembly at Dwarkapuri, surrounded by friends? Purport. Here in this particular verse, the Lord is described as Bhagavan, Govinda, Brahmanya, and Bhakta Vatsala. He is Bhagavan Swayam, or the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, full with all opulences, all power, all knowledge, all beauty, all fame, and all renunciation. No one is equal to or greater than him. He is Govinda because he is the pleasure of the cows and the senses. Those who have purified their senses by the devotional service of the Lord can render unto him real service and thereby derive transcendental pleasure out of such purified senses. Only the impure conditioned living being cannot derive any pleasure from the senses, but being illusioned by false pleasures of the senses, he becomes servant of the senses. Therefore, we need his protection for our own interest. The Lord is the protector of cows and the Brahminical culture. A society devoid of cow protection and Brahminical culture is not under the direct protection of the Lord, just as the prisoners in the jails are not under the protection of the king, but under the protection of the severe agent of the king. Without cow protection and cultivation of the Brahminical qualities in human society, at least for a section of the members of society, no human civilization can prosper at any length. By Brahminical culture, the development of the dormant qualities of goodness, namely truthfulness, equanimity, sense control, forbearance, simplicity, general knowledge, transcendental knowledge, and firm faith in the Vedic wisdom, one can become a Brahmana and thus see the Lord as he is. And after surpassing the Brahminical perfection, one has to become a devotee of the Lord, so that his loving affection in the form of proprietor, master, friend, son and lover can be transcendently achieved. The stage of a devotee which attracts the transcendental affection of the Lord does not develop unless one has developed the qualities of a Brahmana as above mentioned. The Lord is inclined to a Brahmana of quality and not of false prestige. Those who are less than a Brahmana by qualification cannot establish any relation with the Lord. Just as fire cannot be kindled from the raw earth unless there is wood, although there is a relation between the wood and the earth. Since the Lord is all perfect in himself, there could not be any question of his welfare, and Maharaj Yudhishthira refrained from asking this question. He simply inquired about his residential place, Dwarkapuri, where pious men assemble. The Lord stays only where pious men assemble and takes pleasure in their glorifying the supreme truth. Maharaj Yudhishthira was anxious to know about the pious men and their pious acts in the city of Dwarka.
One quick question, Prabhu. What is pious?
Religious?
Religious? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Simple.
All right.
Let's see, just to make it more clear.
Because I came across several times pious.
Pious in dictionary it says religious, devout,
Devout.
church-going, spiritual. It's a religious. Yeah. 35 and 36. The original personality of Godhead, the enjoyer, the Balaram, the primeval Lord Ananta, are staying in the ocean of the Yadu dynasty for the welfare, protection, and general progress of the entire universe. And the members of the Yadu dynasty, being protected by the arms of the Lord, are enjoying life like the residents of the spiritual sky. Purport. As we have discussed many times, the personality of Godhead Vishnu resides in each and every universe in two capacities, namely as the Garbhodakashaya Vishnu and the Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. The Kshirodakashaya Vishnu has his own planet on the northern top of the universe, and there is a great ocean of milk where the Lord resides on the bed of the Ananta incarnation of Baladev. Thus Maharaj Yudhishthira has compared the Yadu dynasty to the ocean of milk and Sri Balaram to the Ananta where Lord Krishna resides. He has compared the citizens of Dwarka to the liberated inhabitants of the Vaikuntha Lokas. Beyond the material sky, further than we can see with our eyes, and beyond the sevenfold coverings of the universe, there is the causal ocean, in which all the universes are floating like footballs. And beyond the causal ocean, there is an unlimited span of spiritual sky, generally known as the effulgence of Brahman. Within this effulgence, there are innumerable spiritual planets, and they are known as the Vaikuntha planets. Each and every Vaikuntha planet is many, many times bigger than the biggest universe within the material world, and in each of them there are innumerable inhabitants who look exactly like Lord Vishnu. These inhabitants are known as the Mahapurushikas, or persons directly engaged in the service of the Lord. They are happy in those planets and are without any kind of misery, and they live perpetually in full youthfulness, enjoying life in full bliss and knowledge, without fear of birth, death, old age, or disease, and without the influence of Kala, eternal time. Maharaj Yudhishthira has compared the inhabitants of Dwarka to the Mahapurushikas of Vaikuntha Lokas, because they are so happy with the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, there are many references to the Vaikuntha Lokas, and they are mentioned there as Madhudama, or the kingdom of the Lord. 37. Simply by administering comforts at the lotus feet of the Lord, which is the most important of all services, the queens at Dwarka, headed by Satyabhama, induced the Lord to conquer the demigods. Thus the queens enjoy things which are prerogatives of the wives of the controller of thunderbolts. Purport. Satyabhama, one of the principal queens of Lord Sri Krishna Dwarka. After killing Narakasura, Lord Krishna visited the palace of Narakasura accompanied by Satyabhama. He went to Indraloka also with Satyabhama, and she was received by Sachidevi, who introduced her to the mother of the demigods, Aditi. Aditi was very much pleased with Satyabhama, and she blessed her with a benediction of permanent youth as long as Lord Krishna remained on the earth. Aditi also took her with her to show her the special prerogatives of the demigods in the heavenly planets. When Satyabhama saw the Parijata flower, she desired to have it in her palace at Dwarka. After that, she came back to Dwarka along with her husband and expressed her willingness to have the Parijata flower at her palace. Satyabhama's palace was especially bedecked with valuable jewels, and even in the hottest season of summer, the inside of the palace remained cool, as if air-conditioned. She decorated her palace with various flags, heralding the news of her great husband's presence there. Once, along with her husband, she met Draupadi, and she was anxious to be instructed by Draupadi in the ways and means of pleasing her husband. Draupadi was expert in this affair because she kept 5 husbands, the Pandavas, and all were very much pleased with her. On receipt of Draupadi's instructions, she was very much pleased and offered her good wishes and returned to Dwarka. She was the daughter of Satyajit. After the departure of Lord Krishna, when Arjuna visited Dwarka, all the queens, including Satyabhama and Rukmini, lamented for the Lord with great feeling. At the last stage of her life, she left for the forest to undergo severe penances. Satyabhama instigated her husband to get the Parijata flower from the heavenly planets, and the Lord got it even by force from the demigods, as a common husband secures things to please his wife. As already explained, the Lord had very little to do with so many wives to carry out their orders like an ordinary man. But because the queens accepted the high quality of devotional service, namely administering the Lord all comforts, the Lord played the part of a faithful and complete husband. No earthly creature can expect to have things from the heavenly kingdom, especially the Parijata flowers, which are simply to be used by the demigods. But due to their becoming the Lord's faithful wives, all of them enjoy the special prerogatives of the great wives of the denizens of heaven. In other words, since the Lord is the proprietor of everything within his creation, it is not very astonishing for the queens of Dwarka to have any rare thing from any part of the universe. 38. The great heroes of the Yadu dynasty, being protected by the arms of Lord Sri Krishna, always remain fearless in every respect, and therefore their feet trample over the Sudharma assembly house, which the best demigods deserved, but which was taken away from them. Purport. Those who are directly servitors of the Lord are protected by the Lord from all fearfulness, and they also enjoy the best of things, even if they are forcibly accumulated. The Lord is equal in behavior to all living beings, but he is partial to his pure devotees, being very affectionate towards them. The city of Dwarka was flourishing, being enriched with the best of things in the material world. The state assembly house is constructed according to the dignity of the particular state. In the heavenly planets, the state assembly house, called Sudharma, was deserving of the dignity of the best of the demigods. Such an assembly house is never meant for any state on the globe, because the human being on the earth is unable to construct it, however far a particular state may be materially advanced. But during the time of Lord Krishna's presence on the earth, the members of the Yadu family forcibly brought the celestial assembly house to earth and placed it at Dwarka. They were able to use such force because they were certain of the indulgence and protection of the Supreme Lord Krishna. In other words, the Lord is provided with the best things in the universe by his pure devotees. Lord Krishna was provided with all kinds of comforts and facilities available within the universe by the members of the Yadu dynasty, and in return, such servitors of the Lord were protected and fearless. A forgetful, conditioned soul is fearful, but a liberated soul is never fearful. Just as a small child completely dependent on the mercy of his father is never fearful of anyone. Fearfulness is a sort of illusion for the living being when he is in slumber and forgetting his eternal relation with the Lord. Since the living being is never to die by his constitution, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 2:20, then what is the cause of fearfulness? A person may be fearful of a tiger in a dream, but another man who is awake by his side sees no tiger there. The tiger is a myth for both of them, namely the person dreaming and the person awake, because actually there is no tiger, but the man forgetful of his awakened life is fearful, whereas the man who has not forgotten his position is not at all fearful. Thus the members of the Yadu dynasty were fully awake in their service to the Lord, and therefore there was no tiger for them to be afraid of at any time. Even if they were a real tiger, the Lord was there to protect them. Another one. So, okay, the last verse for today. Step 9. My brother Arjuna, please tell me whether your health is all right. You appear to have lost your bodily luster. Is this due to others disrespecting and neglecting you because of your long stay at Dwarka? Purport. From all angles of vision, the Maharaja inquired from Arjuna about the welfare of Dwarka, but he concluded at last that as long as Lord Shri Krishna himself was there, nothing inauspicious could happen. But at the same time, Arjuna appeared to be bereft of his bodily luster, and thus the king inquired of his personal welfare and asked so many vital questions. This ends today's reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, of chapter 14, Disappearance of Lord Krishna. We're continuing Wednesday at 6:30, same channel. Hare Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam.